Feel I just can't say that to friends who are working. I feel as if I'm not allowed to say to my friends or family that sometimes you just can't feel like nothing else matters as much as the baby. Nothing I have ever felt for anyone compares to this. I am besotted, like an addict. I stare at her for hours. My relationship with my husband is just an afterthought. You know, a runner-up, said another woman who is devoted to her husband. When she nurses, I sometimes just want to scream, said a woman who has a patient temperament. Giving birth and becoming a new mother demand great reserves of strength. But all too often, women are offered sugar-coated niceties to guide them on the journey, misleading information, half-truths, and platitudes. Books, classes, and videos available to mothers-to-be, I discovered, frequently have hidden agendas. Many of them omit aspects of the birth experience or withhold information to advance their cause, to women's detriment. Little that women are exposed to in pregnancy adequately prepares them for the first 3 trimesters and delivery, or offers them a grounding in the gut-wrenching changes of what has been called the 4th trimester, the sometimes savagely difficult adjustment period that follows birth. Today's Pregnancy Bible, What to Expect When You're Expecting, a book that is the intellectual equivalent, in my opinion, of an epidural, disapprovingly notes that women who have gone through the birth experience tell other pregnant women horror stories. To my mind, what is most distressing is not the prospect of a woman hearing about some of the tougher aspects of labor and delivery, honestly told, but rather the psychic cost to mothers-to-be of literature that is determined to focus on happy talk and sentimentality. On the most elemental level, a pregnant woman is likely to know perfectly well that stories that accurately chronicle the struggle of birth and new motherhood are just as appropriate when it comes to negotiating this life passage as are stories of the miraculous and of fulfillment. Becoming a mother requires a kind of supreme focus, a profound discipline, and even a kind of warrior spirit. Yet our culture prefers to give women doggerel. It often suggests that motherhood is something effortless. It calls motherhood natural, as if the powerful attachment women have to their babies erases the agency they must show in carrying, birthing, and caring for children. It casts maternity as being natural, as a biological unfolding, calm and inevitable as calving in the spring or peaches ripening and dropping from a tree. There is a powerful social imperative to maintaining our collective belief in the natural bliss of new motherhood. The American cliché, mom and apple pie, is a telling one. Birth is viewed through a softened lens of pink haze, the new baby and radiant mommy in an effortless, mutual embrace, proud papa nearby. Because of the power of that image, many women feel permitted to ask few questions. We too often blame ourselves or turn our anger inward into depression when our experience is at odds with the ideal. But to what extent does reality conform to this ideal? American new mothers are an unusually sad group in the months immediately following birth. Our country has the highest postpartum depression rate in the developed world. To examine what women go through on the journey to motherhood in America, I went back to a journal I kept during my first pregnancy, visited new mothers groups, and asked various women whom I knew and who were referred to me by others, to tell me their birth stories. What emerged again and again from these stories was a picture of pregnancy and birth that is much more dramatic, more true to life, and at times more dire than that represented in books such as What to Expect When You're Expecting. The picture of pregnancy that emerged suggested that pregnant women and new mothers are often grappling with the deepest questions possible. These range from questions that upend assumptions about themselves the women had made all their lives, to questions of life and death. Many women were compelled, at an early stage of the pregnancy, to ask themselves what kind of baby they could accept and what kind of mother they could be. Others were shocked at the birth experience itself within a hospital setting. Still others had a harder time recovering, physically and psychologically, from the birth than they had expected they would. And many had a tougher time than they had hoped for negotiating time off with employers to care for their new babies. Moreover,